It is officially Q2 and the beginning of spring, so naturally, it's time for a little life reset. And if you're watching this, you're probably an ambitious girl who has a lot of big goals and expectations for herself for Q2. And honestly, same. So, as ambitious girlies, let's take a minute, do a little Q1 debrief, set the house up for spring, and plan our Q2 and exactly how we're going to accomplish those goals this year. And to be completely honest, I really don't feel like I accomplished anything in Q1. I let a lot of my goals slip. I don't really feel like I worked towards them, and I didn't really have the motivation to. It's dark and gloomy outside, especially this past month. I was very, in my mind, ready for spring and summer and for the warm weather, but it was, literally snowing outside. So my motivation took a big hit and my procrastination started taking over. So it is now spring, the sun is shining, it's warm enough to keep the windows open all day. So I think it is safe to do a full reset and know that that is not going to happen again. And I can just already tell that Q2 is going to be a lot better. All right, now that we have the house feeling like spring, feeling fresh, feeling clean, feeling reset, it is now time for everyone to grab their notepads, their Notion boards, their iPads, whatever it is that you want to use. And it's time for us to do a Q1 debrief and a Q2 reset. So starting with Q1, I know that I said personally I didn't really feel like I accomplished much in Q1, but I do think that is still worth looking at any goals that is going to follow you from Q1 to Q2, why we don't feel like we accomplished enough, or if you did accomplish it, what you did well that allowed you to accomplish that goal so that we can replicate that for Q2. So the big questions for me that I'm going to ask myself for every goal that I'm taking from Q1 to Q2 is going to be, what progress did I make in Q1 in that goal? And for any progress that I didn't make that was just preventing me, like a due date or a timeline that ran into Q2, what was the reason why I didn't make that progress? Was it something external, or was it something internal that was preventing me from being able to put in the work? So I started my planning by first breaking down my goals into what I want to stop doing, continue doing, and start doing. And then I took each goal that I want to continue into Q2 with me through those two questions that we talked about earlier. That's something that I'm personally learning and working towards going into Q2, is letting myself believe that I do not have to sacrifice everything else in my life to accomplish my goals. And that's a big one. You're allowed and you deserve to love your life now, not just whenever your goals are finally finished and finally accomplished. And also, let's just be honest, if you like setting big goals for yourself and you have high expectations of yourself and that's just who you are, then whenever you do accomplish a big goal, you're probably not great at actually celebrating that and remembering to celebrate that. So when you do accomplish it, there's going to be another goal. You're just going to be moving the goalpost on yourself. There's going to be another goal and another big thing for you to tackle because that's who you are. But it's important to not sacrifice everything to achieve this one goal whenever the goalpost is just going to be moved later. Now, that's not to say that goals are not important. I love setting goals. I love pushing myself to be the very best that I can be. But I just want to challenge us going into Q2 for the rest of the year, for the rest of our lives really, to kind of find a balance between accomplishing our goals, but also loving life now while we're working towards those goals. So all of that to say, I want to encourage you to think back in Q1 while you're doing this debrief and really think, did you even enjoy the process of working towards these goals that you have? Is the journey itself really fun for you? And let's be honest, not every day you're going to want to go to the gym, or you're not going to want to get into the front of the camera every day and post content, or all of the things that, or you're not going to want to not go out to dinner and cook at home so you can save more money for your down payment. All of these things are not going to be super fun, and that's kind of what makes them hard to accomplish in the first place. But overall, are you enjoying your life now, or you kind of putting your life on hold for your goals down the line? And that's something that I know that I've really had to work on in 2026, and I'm still working on in Q2. So now that we know what goals we want to accomplish in Q2, let's start planning. Now, I am a huge planning girly, especially on days where I lack motivation, because if there's not a plan in place that I can just execute on, I'm not doing it. And that's when my procrastination starts to kick in really bad. I also find that it's really helpful for me to get kind of like easy wins at the beginning. So, kind of telling myself now that like Q2 is starting and the first step for me to accomplishing my goal is to do XYZ. And X, Y, and Z are really small things that I can get done in like 20 minutes or a day or a week or whatever it is, so that I'm already feeling like I'm accomplishing my goal. And then I don't want to stop because I'm already getting that dopamine kick. And it also kind of stops the whole like procrastination thing of like, oh, I didn't even start on it yet, so I can just start that next week, or I'll get started on that next month or next quarter. And then it just kind of keeps getting pushed out until you never work on it. Hi. Hi, sweet boy. So, what I'm going to do is within my plan, I'm also going to give myself 1 to 3 simple steps that I can get started with so that I so that I can actually feel like I'm starting to accomplish things. And while we're talking about planning and how we're actually going to accomplish our goals, I think that as ambitious girls with like these huge life plans, we look at a new quarter, or a new season, or a new month as like a chance to completely reinvent ourselves and change not only what we're trying to work on or how we're going to do it. And I think it can be that if you need it to be, but of a lot of the times, I feel like I will change my strategy of how I'm going to accomplish a goal based on how I've been seeing other people do it. And what happens is it doesn't feel genuine to me, and therefore it's not going to work. So, for example, if your big goal this quarter is to start going to the gym and really feeling more confident in your body, waking up at 5 a.m. to become a Pilates girly probably isn't going to work for you if to your core you're just a night owl and you do all your work at night, or you work third shift, or whatever it is. It's not going to work for you like it worked for them because it is not who you are. And that's okay. So it can just be so easy to see how other people have accomplished something and think that, like, in order to accomplish that, you need to become that person and do exactly the same blueprint and everything that they did. But then it just starts to feel like it's not you. And honestly, like, the world already has that person doing that thing. They don't need another copycat. They don't need another person talking about that same thing in the exact same way. So you're probably not going to be as effective because like the value that you bring is you being your own person and your own ideas and experience. So I think that whenever we could try to set our goals for Q2, we really need to focus on, are we changing the goal, or are we changing how we approach the goal? And let's try not to do both. And like, there's nothing wrong changing the way that you're approaching something if your approach is currently not working. But if you're changing the approach specifically because you saw someone else do it another way, or you feel like that is the only way to do it because that's the only way that you've seen other people do it, that might not be true, and I would encourage you to challenge that idea. So for each goal, I decided to write down 1 to 3 steps that would make really easy wins and help me get my motivation for each goal going. Then I also wrote down kind of a rough outline of how I'm going to plan to accomplish the goal. I really like having checkpoints to know whether or not I'm on track to hit my goals in Q2. So I wrote down a checkpoint for each month in Q2 and what I want to have accomplished by that point. So yeah, that is everything that I'm thinking about in my Q1, Q2 reset. I hope that was helpful for you. I'm so excited to see what I can accomplish in Q2 and what you can accomplish in Q2. Please let me know in the comments what your goals are so that we can all celebrate whenever we do. And come back to this video and tell me whenever you accomplish them, because 1, I know you will, and 2, because I would love to celebrate with you.